Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to touch base a little bit on what's going on here. Um, kind of, this is Ascension, end of days, biblical times, whatever one wants to think um, or not think. There's a situation at hand within the collective that a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of spiritual stuff. There's the prophecies. There's the religious stuff, and this is pretty much getting into the deep knowledge and wisdom of what humanity has lost, what the people have lost when it comes to understanding creation. Because you can say the word God, you can say the words Great Spirit or Jesus or whatever, but it's all an external thing that must be reclaimed and be brought back within one's being, because a lot of people are talking about ascension, they're talking about DNA, the veil coming apart. There's all kinds of stuff, higher frequencies, lower frequencies. There's the AI situation, but when you're getting into the roots, these are the roots. So we're starting off at ground zero when it comes to what the truth is of this realm. So we're getting into symbols and Mother Earth and the elements. We have to separate stuff when it comes to everything being turned upside down, because that's really what has happened within people's spirit, within people's realms of it's confusion. So like when Babylon fell, you know people spoke different languages, but in reality everyone spoke the same language but couldn't comprehend what each other is saying. So we're all speaking English, but this is just deeper knowledge and wisdom of the prophecies and what everything is. So when you get into the unknown, there is the occult. There's everything from ancient history, everything that was here before you were born, and then you have like the Illuminati and the Masons and secret societies and all this stuff. You have lizards and aliens and Luciferian stuff, and you know the dark occult and everything that has come out that is evil, that was created after the fall out of the tree. People can't put a timeline on it or years, because really people don't know. You can go back billions of years, you know. So, but when you're in the here and now moment, as people are trying to ascend, there's a lot of there's an initiation that one must go through to understand, and that goes in through the initiation of attempting to be a shaman, or 3 days of darkness, and there's a lot of initiation, purging, one's own trauma from this life or from past lives. It's a collective thing, and it's a dark thing, because there's I like to call it, them getting into the temple, but it's not just quote the temple of across the pond in Israel. It's the galactic divine blueprints of creation. So you're talking about the blueprints of creation, time and space, Mayan calendar, all of this stuff. But when it comes into the symbols, numbers, letters, being born, being reborn, a lot of Christians, use the phrase being reborn. And there's a huge separation within the religion, within the Catholic Church, that the Catholic Church brought Christianity to America, but slaughtered all the natives. But then you have the people today who are attempting to return back to Christ, but don't understand that the church is the one that brought the Christianity to America through, uh, truly the Luciferian agenda. And so you're having, everyone knows, that situation. But getting into the collective of what we are doing within the climbing back into heaven on earth. Mother Earth has been lifted up. She's been returned back to her full status. The Sacred Mother, Divine Mother, has gone through her purges. The Syrian Mother, Mother Mary, Isis, however you want to put it. The sacred water. So then you have the 13th dragon bloodline of Mary, the dragon line, the rose line, Rosicrucians, and everything that has taken place going back to a pre-Diluvian timeline of Sasquatch and the Celtics and the Druidic order that runs this show. Because you're talking about DNA, and then you're talking about ascension, but nobody knows who they are when it comes into the true blueprints of time and space within their own symbols, within their body, within the color transmutation of the four lower colors: the black, the red, the yellow, and the white within the medicine wheel. Because we're in the fall, so everything that people see, everything that people hear is a form of outside, and that's part of people can't get into the hermetic codes due to the manipulation and not being initiated back into what was lost. Because people can say Hermes, they can say hermetic codes, they can say everything of this and that, but in people's perspective, it's an outside thing, and that's the part of people, everything of across the pond in ancient history, where you look at Jesus and Christ and everything, it's an outside perspective. But there are people who are coming into the true frequencies of the Christ energy without the hijacking. But it's not a religious thing. It's a cross-referencing of just returning back to Mother Earth, because these fallen ones have manipulated the mind and the DNA to perceive something different than what it really is. So the blueprints of creation being, if you were going to be born, if you're going to be reborn, how much do you really know about creation? How much do you know about what is invisible? Because people are stuck in this realm, locked in their human body, possessed by the fallen ones, thinking that they know stuff, but in true reality, they don't. This is a collective of the Rainbow Prophecy and the Rainbow Warriors transmuting from the lower realms to the higher realms. But how high can you go within the frequency of understanding that you really don't know anything? Because everyone regurgitates ascension. People regurgitate galactic channels and say things that people have been repeating for ever since 2012. And so, people trying to get to a certain level, a certain degree of initiation, it's this is that the revelations. This is the end of days, and that moment where people's hearts will fail them, but people don't know what it means because they've never experienced it. So, if you've never experienced ascension, how would you know what to expect? If you've never experienced the end of days, if you never experienced the AI, how would you know what to expect? Then all of this is all on a soul level. And see, the thing with everything is people trying to be like Buddha, trying to reach this inner path of, the going within that they've been talking about ever since the hippie days. But Buddha's been around for a lot longer. But people don't realize that Buddha was dead. So this is the whole thing. And coming into the Lotus, coming into Shambhala, coming into the Hyperborealis, coming into your chakras, your emerald ray, your frequencies, your colors. People have been fed, the seven chakras, the seven candlesticks, all of this stuff. People looking at sacred geometry on the internet, but they don't understand what it really means in the as above, so below realms of the Hermetic Lab. So everything starts within the invisible realms, and this has to be cleared up and cleaned up within spirit. All the symbols, everything that was hijacked, has been returned back to the Divine Mother and Mother Earth, and the Pleiadians. The Mayan calendar has been fixed. The Gregorian dream spell has been snapped, and everything has been realigned within the blueprints and the master codes of creation. And there's only one person that is able to do that, and that is Hermes, of being able to go into realms and travel realms that others can't, because these are realms where people die. And these are realms of sacrifice. And so you're talking about shape-shifting, traveling realms, so forth. So the cleaning up, we will say, of all past timelines is and has taken place. All past timelines have been purged of that hell, that spilt blood, because the ancestors have gone home through a porthole that opened up a while back. So the ones who were sacrificed and the ones who were all these timelines, the blood was never purged of the sacrificing. So all these timelines that within this realm that of ancient history, of going back in the time, all of that blood, all the ancestors, everybody was held in spiritual blood bondage. But the time has come for the lost souls to go home and purge Mother Earth and the universe of space wars and sacrificing and the killing of humanity and stuff. It goes into so many timelines and so much information, and it takes an experienced soul to understand what this is. So the transmutation, it's alchemy. It's inner alchemy of spiritual transmutation that people can't comprehend. And it is a falling into an energy that you are seeing outside. The energy of things come first, as in, when you're going through spiritual timelines, and people say past timelines are here and now, and everything is here and now. But what is the dark energy of it? That's the thing of people not understanding what timeline they're on today. Because you're having ancient history come forward in a way of presenting itself as it was a long time ago. They've gone underground over these generations to hide from humanity. But people know the stories, like, you can go with the stupid alien stuff in Area 51. That's just icing on the cake, and the lizards, and that's just the icing on the cake. It's the same about the Luciferian ones and the satanic ones. There's an energy behind it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand within the consciousness of creation, of what has happened, that we are the aborted children. So we have blood spilt on us, and this is why Jesus came to spill his blood, because our blood was actually, the whole thing with creation and the water and the fire. It's too much for people to comprehend within their own consciousness of, but it's a saying of words: sacred water, sacred fire, the elements, crystals and water and fire, the symbols, but everything can't be understood because it's like the Phoenix Rising and the Violet Flame. Humanity can't go through the purging of the Phoenix Rising or the Violet Flame unless it's done within Mother Earth first. And like I said about the ancestors, this is the ancestors being purged out of the fire. People know of the fallen fire. People know of the theft of the fire. There's all kinds of stuff, but it's spiritual, and that's the part of the water going away and the invasion, getting into the temple. The wall came down. The consciousness. Odin had to hang himself. Stuff like this. This is why Jesus had to kill himself. This is a Christ consciousness thing. This is creation, but people are hung up on words, and they don't understand the frequency and the timelines of Mother Earth. They don't know where they are within the true initiation of coming through the Osiris gate. That's just what it is, because everyone has to go through the death cycle to understand Jesus. So if you want to say that you worship Jesus, that Jesus this, Christ that, blah, 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 we died. We died. We all died in past timelines. So this is the part where the feeling of death, the lot of the people, if you look at Atlantis or if you look at Lemuria, collapsing and falling, or you look at the Mayans, you look at Native Americans, look at the Africans, look at what they did to the feminine in the Nordic times, and you're looking at what's going on today in the Middle East with the feminine. You look at the fallen ones, demons, breeding in such a way of what you're looking at today of an invasion that has taken place. Same invasion, they know, we know where the door is from hell into heaven. We know where the birthing cycle takes place. But this is the transmutation of one's elementals of being reborn. So you have your symbols, you have your numbers, you have your letters, but you have your sacred geometry and stuff, but it's all external because no one knows how to comprehend, and no one actually does the work to want to understand. Actually, people can't move forward because they don't understand it. They don't take the time to come truly within. People may meditate, play with singing bowls and sage, and do all this stuff, but when it comes to the external, what is within and expressing what is within. So how far within have you gone to be able to understand what this reality is? Because there is an energy shift going on. There's a lot of things going on within the human body today. And this is the wheat and the tare. This is the separation of the fallen ones out of Mother Earth. Removing the fallen ones, removing the sticky icky out of humanity. Because this is where and why they have isolated themselves in the AI frequency and created the data centers and so forth. But because they don't have any water, they only have fire, and so their fire/blood that they have hijacked is in the AI attempting to be regenerated, and they are putting these data centers in locations where there is water access. But within the water access, we have the as above, so below, and truly the sacred water, which is returning from below. Everything comes from below. It doesn't come from above. Water don't come from above. It comes from below. It comes from below within Mother Earth, so it can water the trees from the roots up. Water within us is within our mama's belly, within the feminine belly, within the masculine belly, which brings forward the rainbow chakras, transmutation, alchemy, so forth, because we are within Hermes lab. So the alchemical transmutation, all within, like I said, the four colors of sacred geometry transformation within here is understanding that your initiation is what is coming out of your third eye. So people may see colors within their third eye. A lot of people still have a lot of nightmares and they don't understand the veil and they attempt to ignore it because there's that 3 a.m. wake up call and people don't understand and don't want to understand it because really a lot of people don't know because you're in the upside down world and you've never been taught and the elders were killed and so forth. So, but we have returned back to the truth of the elders and the rainbow prophecy of the Hopi and the rainbow warriors because this is the ignition point. Feeling it, feeling the energy, seeing stuff, knowing the veil, extending your third eye opening, but being able to speak on what it is. That's the thing. Speaking on what ascension is, speaking on this reality, speaking on what is internal, what is shifting within the spirit to be manifested. The third eye is closed, but that's the part of, there's so much inner trauma, invisible frequencies, pollution, all this stuff of, the Luciferian, the AI, and all this stuff that has been going on for a long time that has come into this now moment, as people say. But it's so heavy and it's so dark. People just ignore because it's the easiest way to just get through it because people will watch TV, they go to work, they do all this stuff, but it's what happens when you stop. The only time people really stop is when they go to sleep. So that's when everything comes into play. So, and then during the day, it's just, ignoring, but it's still a feeling of, what is this? It's a feeling of what is this? So it is the coming back into the Buddha path, coming back into the oneness and the rainbow prophecy. But, we've been talking about the prophecies for a long time. So that's an issue, because you get into the time, the here and now, the dream spell has been snapped. So if you were to express yourself spiritually as an elder or someone who knew what the truth was, because I've had visions, I get visions and downloads of things that no one else does when it comes into the higher realms, and that's people saying that they're going into 5D. What the fuck is 5D? Can you comprehend what it is? Can you speak on what it is? Where are you traveling? It's another dimension. Who are you coming in contact with? Because you can't go anywhere. You may go onto a ship. Maybe you may come in contact with like Pleiadians or other star beings, stuff like this, or some demonic aliens, some lizards that want to eat your soul, drink your blood. But when it comes into the true initiation of the Osiris, and it's not just in Egypt. That's the part, because it's sacred geometry. It's Osiris being the sacred geometry. That's, it's, but what does it mean? Because people look at symbols, people look at numbers, people look at glyphs, but they don't know what the sun cross is. They don't know the medicine wheel. They don't know the swastika. They don't know the Star of David, because they're all separate. They've all been torn apart, and it's a puzzle. It's a Chinese puzzle box. Mother Earth is a Chinese puzzle box with many dimensions. A lot of different beings here. So when you're getting into the 144,000, we're going to repeat that again. We're going to regurgitate that. How long, is it 144,000 people? It is a DNA strand. So you're starting off with numbers. But what does it? What is 144? You know, 144 is 108. 144 is 72 and 72, which is 99. You can go on, but there's a lot of numerical codes that come along with, and then people get into the hertz and the frequencies. But within the hertz and the frequencies, and the numbers, it's a code that nobody can access. It's like your birthday. It's like time. It's your birthday. But what's your birthday? Oh, I get one horoscope animal. Your horoscope and your birthday is the time that you fell out of heaven. You know, so that's your porthole of returning back to um, understanding. Because you don't just have one animal. When you're in the center of your zodiac wheel, and you're in the center, because you don't know. That's what I mean. People follow astrology, but unconsciously, all of the animals come from spirit. So, what came first, the seahorse, or the horse on land, or the sea lion, or the lion on land? See, so there's a lot of things that people don't know because people have only been around here for a couple generations, and then the generations before you didn't know anything before hippie times, medieval, like you get into the black and white TV, you get into the 50s, 40s, 30s, beginning of 1900s, 1800s, 1700s. You had some mystical stuff going on, a lot of darkness, a lot of light, but now, there's it's too much. The entities have gotten into every tribe, for the most part, and what the situation was back in the day of is that they manipulating the DNA. They created the white devil and removed the black skin, and then you have the incubator babies, and they created them too. But this is all a demonic presence of attempting to create white humans, just like Hitler, and what he attempted to do. Blonde hair, blue eye, white, white skin, blonde hair, blue eye. Why? Because he wanted them to be like Nordic, because there was only very, 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 very small percent of people who were pure white back in the day. Everybody was brown, swarthy, like Bob Marley and stuff like that. And, there was an isolation between tribes. People don't go outside the wall. Don't go outside of the ice wall. You're not supposed to go out there. It's it's all a fairy tale. Everything that I'm speaking on is a fairy tale because it's a fairy tale just like a unicorn, just like a dragon. But it's only a fairy tale for those who don't have contact with these animals, because you can't access the horse and the dragon. There's the Mayan calendar. There's all of the symbolism. There's a American zodiac wheel. There's a Asian zodiac wheel, and your horse and your dragon are on the Asian zodiac wheel. So this is the part where people, New Age light workers, people are attempting to be like Buddha, don't have a clue because they don't have the building blocks of returning back to Mother Earth, returning back to the Sasquatch, the frequencies of the Sasquatch, because you have been embedded with false implants, false memories, DNA manipulation, where you can't see or come into the frequency of the giants, the ones who stand on the threshold between realms, the new watchers on the threshold, the ones who stand at the Mercury gates, the pressure points on Mother Earth. And so you can put it in the form of the cities and what they've done with the concrete jungles of overlapping the natural organic frequencies of Mother Earth. So this is the part of them losing control, but the data centers and moving forward with that, we have realigned all the ley lines and the Ouroboros in the frequencies to what Mother Earth is. So everything, when people look outside of themselves in the Scottish, Irish, Celtic, Druidic orders of the Rosicrucians before, of the Highlands and the Highlanders, these are the Sasquatch, these are the giants, these are the new watchers of the fire. The fire has been taken back, and that's the part where this is that Phoenix rising in a Native American sense, but in the Irish Celtic sense, these are the fire of Aoda. This is the Irish, the original DNA blueprints connected to the Sasquatch, and this is the porthole of the Osirian portal, and the emerald ray of the green lion of the Hermetic Lab, because going past the green lion, you come in contact with the rose crux, and no one can access the rose crux. You must die first, and those who attempt to get in spiritually die first, and those who attempt to get in materially will die. So this is the whole battle. This is what's been going on for eons of attempting to get back into heaven. So the fallen ones, people know, attempting to get back into heaven, are here and now. And what is the attempting to get back into heaven? It's a sacrifice, because we are aborted. But everything has been realigned, everything has come back into play, and new Sasquatch, new DNA, and everything comes from below and goes up. Doesn't up. This is part of the manipulation of them giving you the aliens, of looking outside of yourself. If it is the religion, or if it is up, you have to return to Mother Earth. You have to return to Turtle Island. This is the Rainbow Prophecy. This is the brother in the East and the brother in the West, completing the Hopi prophecy, completing and fixing the Mayan calendar, snapping the dream spell, and reuniting Mother Earth with heaven on earth, with the sacred water, sacred fire, freeing the ancestors, the return of the dragons, return of the fairies, everything, the Pleiadians, everything has been completed. There's nowhere else to go. Namaste. Many blessings.